Welcome to the Transparent FX Academy. I'm Nick and I'm a top author on TradingView with over 190k reputation points. In this video, I'll speak about USDCHF. And as usual, to keep the video as educational as possible, first, I'll cover the technical aspect for this market. Then we will be moving to the order flow by looking at the commitment of traders, so the COT data, which is essentially what the big players in the market are doing and how they're moving and shifting their orders, which is what you see right here. And by the end of the video, by using the combination of these two different types of analysis, we will try to understand where we have the highest probabilities for the next potential move here for this pair. So this is definitely a video you do not want to miss. So without further ado, let's jump straight into it.
Starting here from the monthly time frame, what we can see is that we have a market at the moment testing and rejecting to the downside a quite strong historical monthly supply and resistance area. From here, all these previous rejections to the downside were created. At the moment, the market is testing and rejecting to the downside the exact same zone. So from a monthly standpoint, everything seems quite clear. We have a market rejecting resistance and more bearish price action could be expected away from this area. Dropping down on the weekly time frame, however, things start getting a bit more clear. We can notice, in fact, how the market has now reached a quite strong, in this case, demand and support area from a weekly standpoint. In fact, exactly from here, all this previous move to the upside was created. The market then followed with a deep correction going all the way down and testing again the exact same zone. However, if we look closely, we can also notice how it's already been few weeks that we are inside of this zone. So now that we will go down on the lower time frames, like for example on the daily time frame, we will notice that we have some horizontal price action going on around this area. And what we have to keep in mind is that this is happening just above a strong demand and support zone from a weekly standpoint, because from here, all this previous rejection to the upside was created. So it seems like we have a ranging market just above weekly demand and support. Let's keep that in mind and drop down on the daily time frame. Now, from a daily perspective, we can notice that that is in fact exactly what we're currently seeing. We're seeing a market with a lot of horizontal price action. So we are essentially in a daily ranging market. And inside of a ranging market, there are two patterns which very often tend to complete when the market is in a range, which are W formations and M patterns. We can see, in fact, here how this M pattern completed perfectly at the neckline. And at the moment, if the market from here will go and test again this strong weekly demand and support zone, we will have another M pattern testing that strong weekly demand and support area, which could easily bring more institutional longing, which at that point could further increase the probabilities of a potential rejection to the upside away from this area. Now, speaking about institutional longing, if we go and see what we have when it comes to the commitment of traders, so what the big players in the market are doing, and we look at the data precisely for the CHF, what we can see is that with the last reports, net positions have clearly been slightly increased. We went from having minus 43 to minus 34k net positions. So it seems like slowly institutions are starting to decrease their shorts and not yet adding longs, but at least they seem to expect the CHF to potentially get a bit weaker. And if the market will actually reach this zone and institutions will start to actually short the CHF, so essentially in this case, increase the net positions even more on the CHF, at that point, what could easily happen is that we could see USDCHF actually create that rejection to the downside. And as we have already seen, if the market does create that rejection to the downside and does print that M pattern at that point, since we are in a range, there is a good probability at that point to see a potential rejection to the upside for the market to complete the M pattern. Then in the long run, there is definitely the possibility after the range here from a daily perspective breaks out to the downside to see more bearish continuation, because in the long term, institutions seem to be longing the CHF, so essentially shorting the USDCHF, and we have already seen that on the monthly time frame there is that test of historical supply and resistance. We have seen it at the beginning of the video. So as we have seen here, we have around this area that strong supply and resistance zone. So in the long term, there is definitely the possibility of more bearish price action. But here on the daily, if the market will create this push to the downside, since we are at the moment in this daily range, we would have the creation of this M pattern testing strong weekly supply and demand. So in a situation like this, what would I expect? Well, as my students know very well, trading is reactive and not predictive. The monthly, weekly, and daily time frames combined with the COT data, those are the best time frames when it comes to the directional aspect of the market. However, when it comes to identifying early shifts in the trend of a market, the best time frames for that are the intraday time frames, so 4 hour and lower. Therefore, what I would expect is that if this market would shift from an intraday bearish to a bullish market, I wouldn't be surprised to see a potential rejection to the upside, completing this daily M pattern at the neckline. That definitely wouldn't surprise me.
Now, if you want to learn more, I really recommend that you go and check out my website, which is linked in the description, because what you see me share here on YouTube is actually just the tip of the iceberg. In fact, if you head over to the website in the description, you will have the possibility to join the best trading program on the planet. You will gain access to all the courses ranging from the very basics of charting all the way to the more advanced topics like building automated trading strategies using the MQL4 programming language, building portfolios of strategies using quantitative finance tools like the Quant Analyzer, and much more. You will have the possibility, in fact, to gain access to the trading station software with the Telegram notifications integration, one-on-one private mentoring directly with me, the COT data software, which often you see me use directly in my YouTube videos, on all my platforms actually. And if you scroll down, you will see that you also have the possibility to get the integration. So all my EAs, which you find here presented one by one directly on the website. And you also have the possibility to gain access to my live trading show. So I live stream of all the trades on my live account as they're opened, closed, trade, and obviously managed. And if you continue to scroll down, you will see that you have the possibility to join just after here the testimonials and gain automatically access with the email and password that you will create during the checkout process. So I really suggest that at least you go and check it out. The link is in the description and I will see you in it. If you enjoyed the video, make sure that you leave a like. Also, let me know in the comments below any new pairs that you would like me to cover in my next videos. Subscribe to the channel so you never miss new updates, and I will see you in my next video.